Good morning. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for joining us, streaming with us here as we will be going to the White House in about 29 minutes from now. As you guys saw yesterday, President Trump on Truth Social teasing a post and then discovering that this is going to be a great thing for health care throughout this country. So we're going to hear a lot of details about that coming up. This on day one of this entire week of President Trump's three-nation Middle East tour from Qatar to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. But before we get to all of that coverage, we know that, of course, today RFK Jr. will be joining President Trump at the White House for this huge meeting, an announcement at 9:30. We'll get to some more details in just a second. Let's start off this Monday morning with Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the great site to go to. And of course, the QR code right there. So you've got two options there. You can type it in or you can go to the QR code, as it is, of course, a great thing as gold and silver as a backup to the US dollar. All you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Also, China, of course, dumping US bonds, grabbing prime American farmland and rolling out its new digital currency. Well, we're seeing some great trade deals happening right now between our country and China. We'll get to that as well. In the meantime, though, freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the website for Colonial Metals Group. Let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com as well /RSBN. If you're looking for ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or methylene blue, this is the place for you, because at the end of the day, we know that some doctors out there, some pharmacies will look at you with a puzzled look if you ask for ivermectin. They'll even maybe sometimes take it at a political step, thinking, well, that's something that we don't offer here. Well, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. They do offer more than 200 essential medications, antibiotics, all sorts of great products at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You get that 10% off with the RSBN 10 promo code. So great two sponsors to start off with on this Monday, May 12th. Hope you had a great weekend, a great Mother's Day weekend. We'll be showing you a White House clip from just over the weekend about Mother's Day as well, because you can't stop saying great things about motherhood out there. So we're very thankful in this country to all mothers out there. So 9:03 again, Monday, May 12th. All right, let's move on to a couple of the headlines that we've been following, including President Trump on Truth this morning, saying the following thing: drug prices to be cut by 59%, plus gasoline, energy, groceries, and other costs down, no inflation, love DJT. With that kind of post, we can end our broadcast. I mean, there you go. That's what's going to happen, because we're seeing it. We're seeing this announcement later today, and actually about 26 minutes from now, where the president and the HHS Secretary, RFK Jr., will talk about these prescription drug costs that have been so high for us. Well, look at that. It'll be cut by 59% plus. So we're looking forward to hearing those announcements, but also, we love the words, right? We love the comments. We love the actions too. And that's what we're seeing with President Trump. Prescription drug costs going down. This is a promise made, a promise kept once again at the White House. Of course, we're monitoring all things White House, all things when it comes to HHS, DOD, the State Department. We're sharing with you, we're being as transparent as possible with what we're seeing, but also what the various departments are posting online, but also what they're saying during these live events. We'll have the entire Middle East trip coming up as well for President Trump. Any press availabilities, we will have that video, whether recorded or live, and we'll share it with you throughout this week as he starts his three-nation tour to the Middle East today. But back to this morning's coverage, we'll go to the White House. He's going to sign an executive order regarding this as well. So looking forward to seeing that. Looking forward to seeing RFK Jr. as well, making America healthy again. And not bad to say, love DJT to start out a Monday, May 12th. Why don't we do this? Since it is just fresh off a great day yesterday, Mother's Day, and for those of you that may have lost your mom or you're not in great communication with her, I mean, I hear you. So just, we keep praying, keep believing, and you have other people, grandmas and sisters and others out there, aunts and others that obviously could be thankful as well. So we'll keep on going, but what a great day yesterday. Let's go to the White House video where they posted a video about Melania Trump, the First Lady, talking about specifically military moms, but overall, happy Mother's Day once again. Here's that video.
Motherhood, the life-changing event that makes women invincible and exposed at the same time. Military mothers in America have developed an extraordinary parallel journey. They are filled with stories of personal sacrifice, determination, loss, and healing. Certainly, only military mothers have experienced this level of grace and resilience of American life. The sacred strength of women is a profound force. With unwavering love and nurturing wisdom, we have the ability to inspire, uplift, and shape the future hearts of our children. Let us unite to honor the beauty of motherhood, champion the grace of our journey, and inspire those who follow. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Again, hope you had a great weekend, everybody, as we get this week started and the business side of life, where we see President Trump making our country great again, also traveling to the Middle East to work on whether it's economy or strategy, that kind of thing with the leaders in the Middle East. That's coming up this week. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear any announcement regarding Israel as well. I'm not saying that he would stop there. I'm just saying maybe there'll be an announcement from the Middle East about Israel and any of these countries. I know when President Trump traveled to the Middle East during the first term, the Abraham Accords and all of these great things, making Jerusalem the capital of Israel, moving the United States Embassy to Jerusalem and on. Well, this time, as of right now, no scheduled stops for the nation of Israel, but still, we're going to see some great meetings there as President Trump continues to work various angles to bring a number of things, to bring peace, to bring security, to bring an economy that is great for we the people. Remember, anytime President Trump and the team talked about foreign relations or foreign policy, the first part of that policy is to benefit the America First policy or the America First agenda for we the people. So even in foreign policy, President Trump's working America First policy. I mean, this is all stuff that he has said in the past, all stuff that we're seeing in person or in real time, especially with this week's coverage that is quite, again, unprecedented, historic in the sense of, I think every day is historic and unprecedented because of President Trump's political comeback that he did. And that we, the people, rallied around him, and the majority of the country voted for him, especially in those 7 swing states. And I got a book over the weekend at a restaurant, Cracker Barrel, to be honest with you. It says, "We the People." These are the documents and writings of the Founding Fathers. So they have the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the book Common Sense by Thomas Paine, the Federalist Papers, all in this book, and this is what it's about. And it's nice to have the Constitution right by your side. Outside of these documents, I mean, the Bible, of course, number one, and then a book like this that has those writings in it, a very close second, but because it actually gleans from the Bible. But anyway, so that's what happened. We, the people, said we want him in office, and we see what's happening. So, all right, so we know about the near history. We know about recent past, right? Let's talk about now and the future. President Trump holding a press conference at 9:30, so in about 21 minutes from now. Also, at about 10:35, according to the president's schedule, he'll depart the White House en route Joint Base Andrews. So that means he'll go on Marine One from the other side of that White House right there, fly over to Joint Base Andrews, then board Air Force One. That plane will go all the way to the Royal Air Force Mindenhall in England. Because that's his first stop, just as kind of a layover. And then tomorrow, he will be going to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So that will be the beginning of the actual Middle East trip. Will be actually today once he takes off and starts heading toward England, toward Europe, and then down towards Middle East. So a lot of travel for the president coming up. And let's do this. Let's talk about what President Trump talked about when it comes to travel, when it comes to the 747, the Air Force One, this new Qatar plane that the White House is getting at no cost. Let's skip to that real quick and look at President Trump's Truth Social post in regards to that as I scroll down and look forward on the notes here. But we do also have a photo of the painting that the paint job that will be on the new Air Force One. That, as you guys may have seen at the Oval Office, when the president's sitting there with a foreign leader, there's an airplane die-cast model plane on that desk in front of the two leaders. That is the paint job that the president is going to have on the new Air Force One. Specifically, let me get to the post as well, as we're showing that great photo there from the Oval Office. This was posted actually just a few days after President Trump won, just of the new Oval Office 2.0. It was actually a wider shot. I just screen grabbed it and cropped it to the plane there. But I do want to get to that post from President Trump speaking about the plane. I can't find it on my notes, so I'm going to go right to Truth Social. You can always count on Truth Social as well. Let's see here. He says, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers, MAGA. That from President Trump. I believe that was it looks like 11 hours ago. So when I screen grabbed that, so that was from last night, the president talking about that plane. It'll be great to see him in a new plane or a plane that has the paint that he wants on the outside of it. He's allowed to do that as president, and it's going to be wonderful to see that first time with the new jet and the new digs, as you might want to call them. Let's go now. Well, that is not the person we're going to, Director. But what we're looking for is Carla Sans on the phone. She's actually traveling overseas right now. Carla, do you hear me? Carla, are you there? Okay, don't hear Carla at this point, but if we get her on the line, we can rock and roll with it. Obviously, live TV, we'll keep going. All right, so it's 9:13, Monday, May 12th. We know the president will be speaking with RFK Jr. at 9:30 for this announcement today about prescription drug prices. Can you believe it? 59% drop in prices. On top of that, he says plus, so more than 59%. So we'll hear all those details here shortly. And then also we're going to watch President Trump go from the South Lawn to the Marine One to Joint Base Andrews to Air Force One on the way to Europe for his first layover on the way to the Middle East. That'll be happening a bit later. I am getting a message from Carla right now. Director, Carla says that she does see and hear me. So if I can see and hear her, that'd be great. I think I hear her now. Guys, do we have her? Okay, so they're working on it still, so we'll continue on. All right, so let me get to some more of our headlines for the day. We do know that there's a fact sheet out there from the White House. President Donald J. Trump secures a historic trade win for the United States, securing another historic deal with China this time. Today, on the heels of a brand new deal with the United Kingdom, President Donald Trump reached an agreement with China to reduce China's tariffs and eliminate retaliation, retain a U.S. baseline tariff on China, and set a path for future discussions to open market access for American exports. The United States issued the first joint statement on trade in many years with China after successful negotiations over this past weekend in Geneva, Switzerland. Both parties affirmed the importance of the critical bilateral economic and trade relationship between both countries and the global economy. Again, this from the White House about the United States and the China trade deal. We're seeing that in reaching an agreement, the United States and China will lower tariffs by 115%, and China will each lower tariffs by 115% while retaining an additional 10% tariff. So we see a lot of good details there when it comes to all of that. All right, it looks like we are getting Carla this time. Carla, are you there, and do you hear me? I can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us on Right Side. So tell us your travels right now. I know you're doing a lot for the country. What are you doing now?
Yeah, so now I'm heading to Dubai, and I'll be talking about President Trump's tariffs and trade with the folks in Dubai, different stakeholders, because we want more trade. And as we know, he's going to Saudi Arabia and UAE this week. I think he'll be in Abu Dhabi. So it's a pretty exciting week for our, I would say, just our trade relationship, for peace, for the Abraham Accords, so many things. And I've just been in Budapest talking about the new Golden Road. It's the India, Middle East, European corridor. And this is about taking energy to India and parts in that region, and then sending goods throughout Israel, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and throughout Europe. So it's a very exciting time. And what it does is it secures good relationships, peace, and trade. President Trump talks about what are we securing together, what are we growing together economically, and so this is exciting. And he signed an MOU in February of this year, saying we're going to build this IMEC, this new Golden Road. So this will be his legacy if we can get all the partners around the table to make it happen.
That's awesome. If you're just joining us right now, this is Carla Sans, former ambassador to Denmark under President Trump's first administration, also with the America First Policy Institute, specifically in charge of energy when it comes to global energy, the United States, and that kind of thing. Can you talk to us about the rest of your trip? I mean, first of all, what is it like to be in your shoes right now? We know President Trump's traveling your way. It's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, there is so much going on, Matthew, but it's all good. And what it's doing, he's already brought $7 trillion into the U.S. in promises from countries and companies to invest in America and to build factories, manufacturing there, and grow jobs. So these are great jobs that people in the workforce today and entering the workforce tomorrow, for the younger people, they will enjoy those jobs, good paying jobs. And so I'm excited about the future and what President Trump is doing. This is the golden age of America as this gets ramped up. Within a year, you're going to see real fruit from all these efforts.
And can you believe it that one person, because we all voted for him to get in there, is able to make these changes to almost the worldwide economy to help America, but also to just even things out and really, in a way, put a wrecking ball to the globalist order, right?
Yes, it's a wrecking ball to that globalist, I would say, anti-human, anti-American order. He's reordering it so that America has a seat at the table, so that we're treated fairly, so that American jobs and companies come back, because many of them left over the last 30 years. Well, he's rebuilding America, and every American will benefit. And
you're at the airport now. What city are you joining us from?
I'm in Budapest, headed to Dubai.
Okay, awesome. Did you see, I mean, the time difference is pretty extravagant with this situation, but I
don't want to know.
Did you see President Trump's post yesterday? He said, hey, the next post is going to be one of the most impactful posts that I've done here on Truth. Paraphrasing a bit, but he talked about those prescription drug prices. Your thoughts about that?
I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled that we're not going to be paying more than everybody else in the world and carrying the load. That's not right. American seniors especially, and working families, they've been given a bad deal for so long. So I'm proud that he's changing that and giving us equality with others around the world. Like Europe is rich, and they've been riding on our tails and getting really cheap pharmaceuticals. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about a lot of what he's doing. And so it's like, stay tuned. Every day is good news. The UK trade deal this week, China's coming along. I mean, India's on the way with the trade deal. So it's really good times. And I'm so grateful to be able to join you for a few minutes, Matthew, and just talk about not just what President Trump is doing in the United States, which is key, but what he's doing around the world, reordering the world order in a more beneficial way. Everyone is going to benefit in the world, but especially the American people.
And Carla, before I let you go, again, thank you for taking the time to join us. Now, you're on the way to Dubai. Again, for those that just joined us, can you remind us what that trip is about and what you'll be talking about?
Sure. I'm going to talk about President Trump's tariffs and trade, and how we can have more trade and it can be better for all of us.
Awesome. Former ambassador to Denmark, Carla Sans, and the vice president with America First Policy Institute. Thank you so much, Carla, for joining us. Safe travels to you.
Thank you, Matthew. Great to be with you.
Definitely. All right, so Carla Sans joining us right there from overseas at this point. It's Monday, May 12th. Speaking of overseas, we'll be seeing President Trump heading that way a little bit later today. Specifically this morning, actually, within the next couple hours, President Trump, as soon as he's done with this executive order situation at the White House, he'll then go to Marine One, over to Air Force One, and then over to Europe for that first stop, a layover stop on the way to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which is his first stop tomorrow. And as we get the public schedule from the White House, we will share that with you on specifics. Really, it's important this week if you're wanting to monitor and follow and see the news without a bunch of people talking over President Trump or only going in for just a little bit to hear what he's saying and then go back to some false narrative. If you want to watch all of it in its entirety, there's a couple things to do. Obviously, you can watch us live. You can check us out on Rumble and YouTube and all of the social media platforms out there. And if you missed anything, you can watch it on replay, or you can scrub back, check it out. Because our job, really, as journalists or in the media, should be to present to you, here's what is being said by X, Y, and Z leader, or here's what's really happening in the country according to that leader. And then what we do in journalism is we say, well, that is true. That is true. That's common sense. We want safety and peace in this country. It's a common sense policy. Unfortunately, what's happened is you've seen what the left has done. They air 2 seconds of a clip, then they come back and they spin it all and they brainwash a whole swath of people. And that's what we've had to deal with for decades, but we're not doing that here at Right Side. We're not doing that in conservative media. We want to stick to really just what's happening. We don't need to bring that sensationalism. We will just bring you what is happening, what we see happening, but also what you can trust with Right Side is we've been here since 2015 interviewing all of the great we the people, all of the great patriots out there over the years. And you hear what we speak about every day that we're on the air, whether it's been since 2015 up until now and into the future. And none of these things are really scripted, to be honest. I have no teleprompter. When Robert McNeely's here talking, when I'm talking, when others are talking, we're really just saying, hey guys, it's not really rocket science, it's common sense. We just want our Constitution to be the law of the land. We want this book right here, We the People, this book that I bought that has the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. We want this to continue to be what we abide by. And then on top of that, within a faith aspect, the Holy Bible. All right, so I mean, what else is there to say other than we just love bringing you all of this live coverage. Also, we can't do it without these great sponsors, including AngelPaste.com. AngelPaste.com is out of Spring, Texas, and they have a number of great products that you can check out. Use the RSBN promo code. You will be able to have a great percentage off there with AngelPaste.com out of Spring, Texas. They hire military veterans, so go ahead and visit their page, along with a number of other great sponsors that we'll be talking about throughout today's coverage, which, again, we'll be going to the White House in about 6 minutes from now. If it's right on time, we'll be right there covering that. All right, so speaking of that common sense, right? When President Trump talked about the 20 core promises to the American people, number one was to seal the border, right? To seal the border. And we have a video from the United States Army, from the Department of Defense, from just a few days ago along the southern border. There's no fluff, there's no music, there's no narrative, there's no nothing. There's just what is it like for our great military, our great U.S. Army, who we're going to celebrate 250 years of its existence on June 14th. We'll get into that in a little bit. But what does our Army really do down there? What are the Marines doing? What's the National Guard? What's Customs Border Protection doing? The Coast Guard and the seas and the Navy on the seas as well. Well, let's highlight the U.S. Army right now. This video is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. So let's all watch together. Those of you maybe doing something else right now, if you just hear what I'm saying, if you just want to watch this, this is awesome because we thank the U.S. Army for doing just this, protecting our border.
Smith.
Here.
Hopper.
Here.
Mueller. Ramos.
Here.
Armstrong.
Here.
6-6. Trevino.
Here.
Brad.
Pull.
Novak.
Here.
Deloach.
Here.
Kim. Or Morrison.
Here. Hey, keep eyes on that white beam. Right there.
That white one?
Yeah, that white one.
Is it?
Nah, it just ain't look like it. There wasn't really nothing to notice.
Concrete, how it looks, so on and so forth. So when we start our dismounting process tomorrow, I'm trying to find soft spots. I don't know. I feel like they have too much sugar in it.
Nah, the sugar.
They're coming here to get away from it.
Tell them the Yama and the guy.
Pretty tight cattle guard fence. Going straight to the street property that's next to the NBA.
All right, so if you're just watching that midstream, you're like, what the heck's going on here? Well, that was some video from the Department of Defense of just our U.S. Army along the southern border, protecting it, guarding it. It's been sealed. It's great to see our troops, our Army down there doing the job that President Trump has ordered them to do. And that's kind of how it works, right? So we would not see that under many other administrations, but this is a common sense administration. We're glad to cover it. We're glad to present it to you as we see it here at the network. Tax Network USA, also a great sponsor here at the network. 800-357-1415. You see the number there. Also, if you'd like to protect your back, or if you'd like to settle your back taxes, you can go to tnusa.com/RSBN. So tnusa.com/RSBN is the place to go to settle back taxes. Also, they'll walk alongside you. They'll help you with that financial peace of mind, specifically with a plan. By just calling or going to that website. Great sponsor, wonderful sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's the bottom of the hour, 9:28. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, getting ready to go to the White House.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it's had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now, I suggest you try Immuno 150 to see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now, consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
Okay, welcome back. Getting ready to go to the White House for this executive order signing. Again, we could probably pull up that Truth Social post that President Trump posted from this morning about drug prices being lowered by 59% plus. That's a post from this morning. He said drug prices to be cut by 59% plus. Gasoline, energy, groceries, and all other costs down. No inflation. And then what president says love? He does, because he's not the same old type of commander-in-chief. He's someone that cares about what he's doing, cares about we the people. And we know that we've had some great leaders in the history of our country: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, William McKinley, Ronald Reagan, and others. But still, seeing that direct communication, which they didn't have back then, right? To be able to just communicate to we the people and to communicate to the media like this, pretty great to see it, and wonderful to cover it. So bottom of the hour, this is about the time that's scheduled for the executive order signing. You see it right there. That, I believe, is the Roosevelt Room. So we're going to see the president. We're going to see the HHS Secretary, RFK Jr. You see the desk just to the left of the podium from our vantage point, but to the right of the president when he's speaking. That's where, of course, he'll sit down. He'll sign that executive order, making drug prices, prescription drug prices, drop by a lot. So obviously the camera getting all ready for the president and the HHS Secretary, RFK Jr. All right, so after this event at the Roosevelt Room, the president departs the White House. He will go to Joint Base Andrews via Marine One as he starts his trek all the way to the Middle East. He's going to stop for kind of a layover in England and then go to Saudi Arabia tomorrow. So he's going to be on his way via Air Force One a bit later today, actually this morning. So after this event, he'll be going out to that South Lawn. Maybe, I believe today he will be stopping by and speaking to the reporters as he walks to Marine One, unless he takes a bunch of questions after this Roosevelt Room announcement, which he probably will as well. So we'll see what happens. We're just going to watch it, monitor it live with you. And as soon as it starts, I'll stop talking and we'll go right there live. All right, so we know, again, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. Speaking of Qatar, you've been seeing those reports about a new 747 or a 747 being given to President Trump. He's going to have that new paint job on the outside of it. And over in the Oval Office, just a little bit from the Roosevelt Room, is the plane, the die-cast model plane picture that maybe we can show. But it's the new paint job of the new Air Force One. So what I believe is going to happen is once he goes to get this new plane out there in the Middle East, once that plane's back here in the States, they're going to redo that whole thing on the outside, and it's going to look amazing. Amazing new paint job, and hey, that's cool. But also, we have an amazing president, so it kind of matches what's needed. So, all right, let's look at some more headlines that we're finding here, that the United States, of course, made a trade deal with China. The details are forthcoming from Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. So as soon as we hear more details about that agreement, we'll bring that to you. Let's go to callshe.com in the meantime, great sponsor here at Right Side. Callshe.com/RSBN. So if you're looking to bet or trade on anything, science, technology, weather, politics, sports, you can actually go to callshe.com/RSBN or just go to the Callshe app, and you can glean more information from going to those entities there, the website or the app. A wonderful sponsor here, and it's growing in popularity. I remember Elon Musk talking about Callshe not too long ago as well. So a great sponsor at Right Side. Matthew Alvarez, thanks again for streaming in. Happy Mother's Day to you, even though it was just yesterday. We played a video off the top of the broadcast from the First Lady Melania Trump. She had that event last week, which was great to see. And if you missed any coverage from the beginning of the show or anything that you see from President Trump later today, or maybe you have to pause everything because you have work to do or things to take care of, you can still go ahead and click on the link and rewatch or scrub back or rewind, that kind of thing. So let's go to Colonial Metals Group, I believe is the next sponsor. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN is the website. You also have the QR code there. And when it comes to all sorts of things with our financial ways, we're seeing a lot of increases, positive net gains for our country, but still having gold and silver as a backup plan for retirement and savings. Colonial Metals Group is the place to go for that. So freegoldguide.com/RSBN, or you can use that QR code that you see right there on the bottom right of your screen. All right, so it's 9:35, Monday, May 12th. Quite the week of coverage coming up with the Middle East, with President Trump traveling to 3 nations in the Middle East: Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Moments ago, we spoke with Carla Sans, who is on her way to Dubai, speaking about President Trump's trade deals and plans and energy, as she is with the America First Policy Institute and also was the ambassador to Denmark under President Trump's first administration. But now, doing great things with America First Policy Institute, as is everyone at that institute. I mean, you think about the people that are in President Trump's administration right now. Linda McMahon was the top person at AFPI. Brooke Rollins is the Department of Agriculture Secretary. Carla Sans has been traveling with the campaign when it was campaign season, and also speaking to help others throughout this world to see the vision that President Trump has. Because if you are someone that is honest and wants the best for your people, that's what President Trump is doing. That's what we've seen, and that's why he wanted a landslide. Then hopefully other countries will follow suit with that. But, the world isn't perfect. So, all right, again, you'll see the President and the HHS Secretary RFK Jr. soon. Speaking about prescription drugs prices, that huge post just yesterday by President Trump, it was a lengthy post, and we're going to go into some of it quickly here. We don't have the graphic for that because there's so many words to say here, but let's go through it. This is in part what President Trump, if you missed it at all, he was teasing that there was going to be this Truth Social post that is one of the most impactful ones that he's ever delivered on the platform. He said, for many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the United States of America were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug manufactured in the exact same laboratory or plant by the same company. The president going on to say that he will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history, and it'll be done right there at that desk to the left of our vantage point of the podium and to the right of the president when he's standing there, saying that prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the world in order to equalize, and for the first time in many years, bring fairness to America. And when I first read that, it said they will rise throughout the world, these prices. I'm like, is that fair? Like, what? But he says in order to equalize. Again, we've been getting charged way more and our prices have been way higher. So we're just getting equal playing field when it comes to all this, to bring fairness to America, the president says. He goes on to say from this post from yesterday, I will be instituting a most favored nations policy whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. Our country will finally be treated fairly, and our citizens' health care costs will be reduced by numbers never even seen before or thought of before. Additionally, on top of everything else, the United States will save, get this, trillions of dollars. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. That from the president just last night. Producer, can you please repeat? All right, let's go to one of our next sponsors as we await President Trump and RFK Jr. there. All Family Pharmacy. Imagine needing that medication like ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine or methylene blue, and you're just not able to access it. Well, not because it's out of stock, but because someone decided you shouldn't have access. It's already happened, and of course it can happen again. When others make it complicated, All Family Pharmacy makes it simple. Just the medications you want, when you need them, without jumping through hoops. They have, as I mentioned, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 200 essential medications. They also have antibiotics. Basically, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN is the place to go to get that 10% off. You'll fill out some medical online paperwork and you get those prescriptions in the mail. And in some cases, you can get them overnight. So what's really good is you can really stock up on a lot of the medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine if you ever need it. I remember, again, I've shared this story a few times, but my wife and I during Christmas a few years back, we had COVID. We couldn't go anywhere because we were sick, and we didn't have ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine with us. I wish we would have known about allfamilypharmacy.com, but we do now. Allfamilypharmacy.com. RSBN. All right, let's go to one more sponsor as we get ready to go to the White House, brightcore.com. So mybrightcore.com is the website. You can see that this is kimchi one. This is a probiotic, good for immune support, your health, overall health, making America healthy again, a great step in the right direction. 888-722-0936. Get 25% off using that RSBN promo code. Visit mybrightcore.com/RSBN. You see the number on your screen. We're actually going to interview the owner of Kimchi One, the Brightcore owner, Kim Bright, a bit later today. And we'll also be interviewing Lars Larson, who has a show out there. He's going to be joining us a bit later today for the All Family Pharmacy as he speaks about that as well. So two great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank God for awesome patriotic sponsors and we the people, because without those two people or groups, we would not be able to be showing you any of what we have been showing you over the years and into the future, especially as we get ready to see President Trump today and the HHS Secretary RFK Jr. talking about prescription drug prices. So on top of all of that, this is day one of President Trump starting to head toward the Middle East. He will be going to the Royal Air Force Base in Mendenhall, England today. And then tomorrow he'll be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He'll also go to Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. A lot of huge announcements, I'm sure, will be made. A lot of photo opportunities, but really at the end of the day, shaking hands of leaders, but really with the mindset of America first. I remember seeing within all of the nitty-gritty of this that President Trump's foreign policy starts out with what will benefit the interests of the American people first. So even in foreign policy, he's going America first. That's what he's doing. And we're see, this is the thing that I think that all of us like. And I've worked in journalism for about 20 years or so, and from college and on. And what we hear is politicians or others say one thing and obviously don't do it. But that's not what the signature of President Trump's first administration was. It was promises made, promises kept. Well, he's kept that same motto into this second administration. And we are seeing it every day in real time. And we're looking forward to, trust me, I'm with you, I hear you. We're looking forward to our country fully being saved, fully being made great again through security, through our southern border being protected, through ICE doing the great work that they're doing, through the economy increasing, through our constitutional rights being intact, through the stopping of any weaponization of government, on and on and on, through being able to pray how we want and believe what we want. That is part of the Constitution. I mean, freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, as Jenny Kern, the White House Faith Office Director, so rightly put it when I interviewed her at the Eisenhower Executive Office building adjacent to the White House just a couple weeks back. So we want all that to happen. We want to see the DOJ, the FBI do the best they can do to take care of business for our country. So in 28, 29, whoever's our president, hopefully, obviously, it'll be someone on the right side of history, will continue this and carry that baton for us to continue to be making this country great again. MAGA will never, ever cease to exist. MAGA is always going to be around no matter who's at the White House, because we always, as we the people, the majority of this country, desire our country to be great, and we always will. So anyway, looking forward to a lot. That's a lot of coverage, though. That's 3.5 years yet of President Trump and all of the great announcements he's made, all of the great actions he's taken, yet another executive order about to be signed right here. So as soon as we see the president and the HHS Secretary RFK Jr., we'll go there live. Now, this was scheduled for 9:30 a.m. It's 9:44. As soon as we see the Commander-in-Chief, we'll take you to that room. That's the Roosevelt Room, not too far, of course, from the Oval Office. But also, we'll be seeing the president after this event. We're going to stay live here on Right Side, as we do call the broadcast RSBN Live. It's pretty simple stuff. It's common sense. We are covering things live, and we will see the president go from the south lawn of the White House to Marine One, and then we'll see him board Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews as he gets ready to go overseas for this huge Middle East trip. So we'll have all of that for you. Speaking of overseas, again, the United States making a trade deal with China. Let's stop here and let's look at what we're seeing on the screen. The Golden Dome for America. This is quite interesting because that's way different than prescription drug prices, which I thought was the main reason for this event. So maybe he'll be touching on that and on this. So we'll be seeing what this is all about coming up. Obviously, the Golden Dome for America, but shifting a little bit from the prescription drug prices. So this will be an entire event that we'll have for you live. Always interesting to see what the president's going to talk about. But again, it's always for America first and great things for our country. So I wish the camera, if they could zoom in on some of those charts, it'd be great to kind of in the moment read it to you. But I'm sure they'll do that a little bit later. All right, meantime, we know the president will be on that 3-nation tour to the Middle East. Then fast forwarding just slightly, May 24th, the president will have a commencement speech at West Point in New York. And then fast forwarding just a bit more, June 14th. All right, before we do that, let's see what it says there. This is a very dangerous world. We're going to protect our citizens like never before. President Donald Trump. And then you see Golden Dome for America to the right. To the left there, as the White House communications staff works on making sure everything doesn't have a big glare. I can't read that from here. The screen is pretty far, but if they keep zooming in, we'll be able to get it. It looks like some charts there, fiscal year. I just can't see it from here. Maybe about the price situation with the prescription drug prices, possibly. So anyway, getting a little inside peek on what this whole press conference is going to be about, but also, again, the executive order signing at the Roosevelt Room. Back to what I was saying. June 14th, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, and there will be a U.S. Army military parade celebrating 250 years of the United States Army. We'll have that for you. That's a Saturday, June 14th. Plans for the parade that we're hearing call for about 6,600 soldiers, 150 vehicles, and 50 helicopters to follow a route from Arlington, Virginia, then to the National Mall, starting at the Pentagon. Fireworks will follow. So that, if you're just joining us, that is for June 14th. All right, so we also know in other news, and Director, I think we have this post from the President, or actually from Secretary of State Marco Rubio, about an American hostage, Eden Alexander, freed. So President Trump talking about that yet another, I can only imagine what it's like for President Trump's intelligence briefings and all these meetings that they have. I know it's kind of small for you to read there at the bottom, but that is a post there from the Secretary of State talking about promises made, promises kept, and the fact that this American hostage, Eden Alexander, has been freed from the grasp of Hamas. So many things going on. It will make your head spin, literally. Like, woo, here we go. I mean, this has been wild to cover since day one, January 20th, 2025. Can you believe it's May? And it feels like it's been 5 years of what President Trump has been doing at the White House when it comes to the unprecedented number of executive orders and all of the work that's being done. He won't quit. President Trump has not. He doesn't have it in him to quit. He's always said, basically after all of the things that he's said, there's one thing that I really, really like at the end of it. He says, "Keep going, keep going." So that is no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what's going on. As you see, I believe that's Scott Besson as well. We do see, of course, RFK Jr. Next up will be the president. Let's go there live right now and just see what it's like to be in the room.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. It's a big day. Should be fun. I don't know. You'll maybe find reasons why it's not, but I can't imagine because we have a lot of great things happening. It's been a very strong week and a very strong weekend. Before we begin, let me say a few words about the historic events that took place over the last few days. On Saturday, my administration helped broker a full an immediate ceasefire, I think a permanent one, between India and Pakistan, ending a dangerous conflict of two nations with lots of nuclear weapons. And they were going at it hot and heavy, and it was seemingly not going to stop. And I'm very proud to let you know that the leadership of India and Pakistan was unwavering, powerful, but unwavering in both cases, and having these, they really were, from the standpoint of having the strength and the wisdom and fortitude to fully know and to understand the gravity of the situation. And we helped a lot. And we helped also with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. That I can tell you. And all of a sudden they said, I think we're going to stop. And they have. And they did it for a lot of reasons, but trade is a big one. We're going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We're negotiating with India right now. We're going to be soon negotiating with Pakistan. And we stopped the nuclear conflict. I think it could have been a bad nuclear war. Millions of people could have been killed. So I'm very proud of that. I also want to thank Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Rubio for their work and efforts. They worked very hard on that. We also, as you know, created a situation where the Houthis, for the first time ever, have ceased firing, and they've let it be known that they're not going to be firing at American ships anymore, not going to be firing at Americans anymore. This was a heavy barrage that lasted for approximately 50 days. And as you know, they've been in war essentially for forever. But over the last 10 years, they've been very difficult for other countries. Nobody was able to do what we did. But they stopped, and we take their word for it. Their surrogates and them directly said, we don't want to do this anymore. And so we were satisfied with that. In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China. After productive talks in Geneva, both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the larger structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs because they don't want to pay 25, 50, or 100% tariffs, so they're moving them back to the United States. I spoke to Tim Cook this morning, and he's going to, I think, even up his numbers, $500 billion. He's going to be building a lot of plants in the United States for Apple, and we look forward to that. I really do look forward to that. But the talks in Geneva were very friendly. The relationship is very good. We're not looking to hurt China. China was being hurt very badly. They were closing up factories. They were having a lot of unrest, and they were very happy to be able to do something with us. And the relationship is very, very good. I'll speak to President Xi maybe at the end of the week. We have some other things we're doing. But one of the biggest things that we're doing, and I don't know if people realize this, but we made a great deal with China, a great trade deal. But it was a much bigger deal originally, and then they canceled it right in the last day. Some of you faces I remember were there when that happened. I remember you. And we had a deal where they opened up their country to trade with the United States. And they took that away at the last moment, and then I canceled the whole thing. And then 6 months later, we ended up doing a smaller deal. But it was a big deal. It was $50 billion worth of product that they were going to purchase from our farmers, et cetera. And we agreed to that. People thought it was 15 because they were doing 15. We made it 50 because I misunderstood the 15. I thought I said, you got to get 50. Because when I asked, if you remember the story, when I asked, what are we doing with them, my Secretary of Agriculture at the time, Sonny Perdue, said, sir, it's about 15 billion, and we're asking for 15. And I thought he said 50. So I said, so they came back with the deal at 15, and I said, no way, I want 50, because you said 50. They said, sir, we didn't say that anyway. Bottom line, I said, go back and ask for 50, and they gave us 50. And they were honoring the deal, and we would call them up a lot for the corn and for the wheat and for everything. They were honoring the deal, and then when Biden got in, they no longer honored the deal. There was nobody to call. I would call on an average of once every 2 weeks to say, come on, you have to speed it up a little bit. And our farmers were doing great. I said to them, buy more land and bigger tractors, if you remember. That's what happened. But the deal was a very good deal. But the best part of the deal was that we opened up China. China agreed to open itself up to American business to go in. And it would have been a great thing, I think, for China. They would be able to see things that they haven't seen. They would be able to buy products that they had never been able to buy. Would have been great for American business. I think it would have brought unity between China, better unity between China and the United States. And the bottom line is that they canceled it the last day. We were all set to sign it, and then I went a little bit angry. I got a little angry. I said, they canceled the deal. The deal was done. It was all ready to be signed, and people went over, they came back to me, sir, they don't want to sign the opening up China. Well, the biggest thing that we're discussing is the opening up China, and they've agreed to do that, but it's going to take a while to paper it. You know, that's not the easiest thing to paper. But that's the single, I think, to me, some people would disagree. Some people would say we're getting a lot of money with tariffs or whatever, but, you know, especially when you add what we already have, because remember, we're already getting the 50% on steel and different things. That's not included in these numbers, so you can add that. But the biggest thing to me is the opening up. I think it would be fantastic for our businesses if we could go in and compete with China. It would be a lot of jobs for China. It would be, I think, at a time when they can frankly use the jobs, and that's what we're talking about. So that's a very, very important element to add. So when Scott, I watched him speak the other day, and I think he didn't want to say it, but I said, it's okay to say it. Look, if we don't get it, we don't get it. But if we don't get it, it won't be a positive thing. But if we do get it, I think it's maybe the most important thing to happen. Because if you think about it, we opened up our country to China. They have very few restrictions. And they didn't open their country to us. Never made sense to me. It's not fair. And they've agreed to open China, fully open China. And I think it's going to be fantastic for China. I think it's going to be fantastic for us. And I think it's going to be great for unification and peace. China will also suspend and remove all of its non-monetary barriers. They've agreed to do that. Well, they're very numerous. But again, to me, the biggest thing that came out of that meeting is they've agreed. Now we have to get it papered, but they've agreed to open up China. It's going to be great for everybody. And third, I'm very happy to announce that Idan Alexander, an American citizen who until recently most thought was no longer living, thought was dead, is going to be released in about 2 hours, actually. And he's going to be released before the eyes of Steve Witkoff, who has done a fantastic job. I know a lot of people, they have a lot of talent. I know Steve, he had a lot of talent. But I know a lot of people with a lot of talent, but there's one that I thought had a special way about him, special personality, aside from being a good deal maker, had a special way about him, and it was Steve. Knew very little about the subject matter, who does, but he learned it in about 2 hours, and he's been fantastic. So I want to just thank Steve. But they're going to be releasing Idan in about 2 hours from now, or sometime today, let's say. And again, they thought he was dead just a short while ago. His parents are so happy. They're so happy. So it's, as you know, Idan's the only American citizen who's captured. and held hostage by Hamas since October 7th, 2023. And he's coming home to his parents, which is really great news. I mean, to me, it's big news. They thought he was dead. So that's that. So we'll be heading there, and we'll be seeing 3 primary countries. You know all about that: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. On Thursday's meeting with Russia and Ukraine is very important. I was very insistent that that meeting take place. I think good things can come out of that meeting. Stop the bloodshed of the horrible. It's a bloodbath. But that 5,000 more, it's really much more, I'm trying to be conservative, more than 5,000 soldiers. Russian, they're not American soldiers, they're from Russia, they're from Ukraine, but they're people. They're human souls, and they're being killed at levels that we haven't seen since the Second World War. And it's every week. A lot of drone fighting. It's a whole new form of warfare, and it's violent and vicious. And so that's it. I'd like to go back to China just for a second. They're very heavy on the fentanyl. We're charging them, as you know, 20% for the fact that they send fentanyl into our country. And they've agreed that they're going to stop that. And, you know, they'll be rewarded by not having to pay, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. So the fentanyl should stop. It comes from China. It's amazing. And comes through our southern border, comes through our northern border too, comes through Canada, and comes through our southern border, much more through the southern border. But so that's a very important subject to me, because everybody in this room has lost friends or people that have family members that have died of fentanyl. So there's a big incentive for China to stop, and I take them at their word. They're going to work on that, I think, very hard. And one thing, when they work on something, they get it done. So now I'm about to depart on a historic visit. Some of you are going with us to, as I said, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates. Before I do, I'll sign one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. I don't think there's ever been anything signed like this, certainly not with respect to health care, nothing even close. I'm delighted to be joined on this occasion by Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy, Jr., who is doing a really good job, I have to tell you that. CMS Administrator, a friend of mine, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who is an amazing guy. You know, I was telling Bobby before, Oz had a very successful show, but it hurt his reputation. Because when you're in show business, it hurts your reputation a little bit. It's good for you, but in terms of professionalism and being a doctor, it sort of hurts your reputation. This guy went to the best schools, was the best, I mean, top of the line. Then he did a television show, became a success, made a lot of money, all that stuff, but it sort of hurt him. And you know who I compare that to? I hate to say this, but a special woman, Jeanine Pirro. She was the toughest, smartest DA, maybe in our countries, in our cities and states, history, New York. She was really tough, really sharp. Then she did a show, and people didn't think of her quite the same way. She became more of an entertainment person, like Oz. Oz is not an entertainer. He's not really an entertainer, if you know the real story. And she isn't either. She is unbelievable. She was one of the strongest district attorneys in the history of New York, highly respected, very tough, went after the drug dealers at a level that you don't see today anymore. And hopefully she's given up she's leaving the #1 show on cable television, one of the #1 shows on television, period, The Five, but they've got great people left behind, but she was a big part of it. And so I equated to that. Jeanine Pirro is unbelievable. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary, with a reputation that's second to none, and the job he's doing already has been fantastic. Thank you, Marty. And Director of National Institute of Health, Jay Bhattacharya, who has been, as you know, from Stanford, so highly regarded, and have all been working with us very hard on this. And the question they would ask, being a little bit new to the government aspect of it, is why doesn't somebody fight the drug price situation, meaning equalization. There's a term, it's called equalization. Nobody wants to mention that term. And I'm not knocking the drug companies. I'm really more knocking the countries than the drug companies, because they're forced to do things. But the drug lobby is the strongest lobby in this country, they say, the drug lobby. It's between that and lawyers. And they have a lot of power. But starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries, which is what we were doing. We're subsidizing others' health care. Countries where they paid a small fraction of what, for the same drug, that what we pay many, many times more for. And we'll no longer tolerate profiteering and price gouging from Big Pharma. But again, it was really the countries that forced Big Pharma to do things that, frankly, I'm not sure they really felt comfortable doing. But they've gotten away with it, these countries. European Union has been brutal. And the drug companies actually told me stories. It was just brutal how they forced them. And European Union suing all our companies, Apple, Google, Meta. They're suing all of our companies. They end up, they have judges that are European Union-centric, and they get rewarded $15 billion, $17 billion, $20 billion, and they use that to run their operation. Not going to happen any longer, that I can tell you. So what's been happening is we've been subsidizing other countries throughout the world, not just in Europe, throughout the world. European Union was the most difficult, from what I understand. I mean, I'll tell you a story. A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up, and he said, President, he calls me, he used to call me Donald, now he calls me President, so that's nice respect. But he's a rough guy, smart guy, very successful, very rich. I wouldn't even know how we would know this, but because he's got comments. President, could I ask you a question? What? I'm in London, and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take. I said, it's not working. He said, I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on? He said, so I checked. And it's the same box, made in the same plant, by the same company. It's the identical pill that I buy in New York. And here I'm paying $88 in London. In New York, I'm paying $1,300. Now, this is a great businessman, but he's not familiar with this crazy situation that we have. But he was stunned. But it was just one of those stories. And I brought it up with the drug companies, represented by somebody who's very, very smart, good person too. And we argued about it for about half hour. And then finally he just said, because they can't justify it, he just said, look, you got me. You got me. I can no longer they've been justifying this crap for years. They said, oh, it's research and development. Well, I said, well, research and development, other countries should pay research and development too. It's for their benefit. It was just one of those things. And the other countries would set a price, and they'd meet the price, and they'd say, if you don't meet the price, you can't sell it in our country. I said, well, then you walk away, and, they'll call you back, and they'll sell it in the country. But now they'll have to do that. So for the first time in many years, we'll slash the cost of prescription drugs, and we will bring fairness to America. Drug prices will come down by much more, really, if you think 59. If you think of a drug that is sometimes 10 times more expensive, it's much more than the 59%. It depends on the way you want to analyze it, but in one way you could analyze it that way. But between 59 and 80, and I guess even 90%. So when I worked so hard in the first term, and if I got prices down, remember I was the only one to ever get prices down for a full year, but I'd get them down like 2%, and I thought it was like a big deal. Well, we're getting them down 60, 70, 80, 90%, but actually more than that if you think about it. Farmer has to say, we're sorry, but we'll not be able to do this any longer to these countries that have been so tough. They've been very tough, nasty. It's trade. It's trade. And pharma is also very powerful. And the Democrats have protected pharma. The Democrats, this is the Democrats have protected pharma. These are the Democrats. And by the way, I just called the Speaker of the House, and I just called the leader, our leader in the Senate, John Thune, Mike Johnson. Spoke to both of them. I said, when you score, you're going to have to score two things. You're going to have to, number one, score that hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is coming in. But even bigger than that, you're going to have to score that your cost for Medicaid and Medicare and just basically pharmaceuticals and drugs is going down at a level that nobody has ever seen before. It'll pay for the Golden Dome. I see the Golden Dome is there, see? That'll easily pay for the Golden Dome. And we'll have a lot of money left over. We need the Golden Dome, by the way, in this world. Although this world's a lot safer today than it was a week ago, and a lot safer than it was 6 months ago. We had people that had no clue what they were doing. So today Americans spend 70% more for prescription drugs than we spent in the year 2000. Think of that. Our country has the highest drug prices anywhere in the world by sometimes a factor of 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's not like they're slightly higher. They're 6, 7, 8 times. There are even cases of 10 times higher. So that you go 10 times more expensive for the same drug, that's big numbers. Even though the United States is home to only 4% of the world's population, pharmaceutical companies make more than 2/3 of their profits in America. So think of that. With 4% of the population, the pharmaceutical companies make most of their money, most of their profits from America. That's not a good thing. Now, I think, by the way, I have great respect for these companies and for the people that run them. I really do. And I think they did one of the greatest jobs in history for their company, convincing people for many years that this was a fair system. And nobody really understood why, but I figured it out. For years, pharmaceutical and drug companies have said that research and development costs were what they are, and for no reason whatsoever. They had to be borne by America alone. Not anymore, they don't. This means American patients were effectively subsidizing socialist healthcare systems in Germany, in all parts of the European Union. They were the toughest of all. They were nasty. And I see that. I see that with trade, too. European Union is in many ways nastier than China. Okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly. They sell us 13 million cars. We sell them none. They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards, and very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is. And believe it or not, because it's really the world we're talking about, not just the European Union, but because it's the world, the numbers are for the healthcare company not as bad as you would think. They'll make the same. I think the healthcare companies should make pretty much the same money. I really don't believe they should be affected very much, because it's just a redistribution of wealth. It's a redistribution where it could be the same top line, but it's going to be distributed differently. Europe's going to have to pay a little bit more. The rest of the world's going to have to pay a little bit more, and America's going to pay a lot less. Again, because it's a much smaller population than when you think of the whole world. So basically what we're doing is equalizing. There's a new word that I came up with, which I think is probably the best word. We're going to equalize, where we're all going to pay the same. We're going to pay what Europe's going to pay. We're going to all pay. Now, there may be some countries in dire need, and I would be willing to sacrifice that and help them. But it's called most favored nation. We are going to pay the lowest price there is in the world. We will get whoever is paying the lowest price. That's the price that we're going to get. So remember that. So we're no longer paying 10 times more than another country. Whoever is paying the lowest price, we will look at that price and we will say that's the price we're going to pay. Most favored nations, that's what it is. One breast cancer drug costs Americans over $16,000 per bottle, but the same drug from the same factory, manufactured by the same company, is 1/6 that price in Australia and 1/10 that price in Sweden. 1/10 for the identical product. A common asthma drug costs almost $500 here in America, but costs less than $40 in the United Kingdom. So $40 in the United Kingdom, which is where this gentleman told me he paid a small amount for his shot. But think of that. So $40 versus $500 here. That's not even bad. There are much worse examples. And the weight loss drug, Ozempic, costs 10 times more in the United States than in the rest of the developed world. 10 times more. Why? Why? What did we do? Suckers. But we never had a president that had the courage to do this. And nobody knew the system like I do. I mean, I've gotten to know this system so well. And I don't think it's fair that it benefits Obamacare. Obamacare is a failure. It's not a good health care. It works. I made it work. I had an obligation to make it work, or an obligation to let it die. I chose that we had to make it work. I had to make it as good as possible. And I had a choice. I could have let it fail or make it as good as possible. As good as possible means it was still not very good, but it survived. And we did the right thing. But this makes everything work. And I don't want to have a bad form of health care work because of the fact I was able to cut drug prices by 80 or 90%. So we're going to maybe come up with something. I think this gives the Republicans a chance to actually do a health care that's much better than Obamacare and for less money, which if you guys would work on that along with Congress. But I do want to say that Democrats could have done this a long time ago. They have fought like hell for the drug companies, and they knew they were doing the wrong thing. And it's going to be very hard. I was just telling the leader and the speaker that it's going to be very hard for the Democrats to vote against the one big, beautiful deal. The greatest tax cuts in history, greatest everything, but now you have the big drug prices because that's going to be included. It makes that whole situation different from a scoring standpoint. I just told them, I called them up about this. I said, I'm going to do something that's going to be very monumental, and you're going to be scoring. You better tell your people that this is going to score really well. And then add hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs to your list also. But as big as the tariffs are, this is something that really hits quickly. 5 years ago, I signed an executive order to confront this disaster, but only confront it in a minor way. It was a good confrontation, but never to this extent. And it took people a little while to understand a very complicated system. But Joe Biden, without any knowledge of what he was doing, terminated the policy and then pretended to negotiate under a new system. And then you take a look, 5 out of the 10 drugs that he negotiated are now over 200% more expensive in America than the rest of the world, and far more expensive than when he even got involved. Much more expensive than when he got involved. Joe Biden's plan was as you know, because you wrote about it, you don't say it very loudly, but it was a very big failure, was his whole presidency. First, I'm directing the U.S. Trade Representatives and Department of Commerce to begin investigations into foreign nations that extort drug companies by blocking their products unless they accept bottom line and very low dollar amounts for their product, unfairly shifting the cost burden onto American patients. And we'll be taking a look at that very strongly. The biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to tell those countries, like those represented by the European Union, that, that game is up, sorry. And if they want to get cute, then they don't have to sell cars into the United States anymore. It's a very big subject. And they won't get cute, because I'll defend the drug companies from that standpoint. They were given a price by the European Unions and other countries. This is what you do. this is what we're going to pay. We're not going to pay any more. Let America pay the difference because there was a big shortfall. Let America pay it. And that's what we did, but we're not doing it anymore. Next, my administration will secure what we're calling most favored nations drug pricing. The principle is simple. Whatever the lowest price paid for a drug in other developed countries, that is the price that Americans will pay. And we're using the term other developed countries because there are some countries that need some additional help, and that's fine. I think that's very good. Some prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 50 to 80 to 90%. Big Pharma will either abide by this principle voluntarily or will use the power of the federal government to ensure that we are paying the same price as other countries. To accelerate these price restrictions and reductions, my administration will also cut out the middlemen. We're going to totally cut out the famous middlemen. Nobody knows who they are, middlemen. I've been hearing the term for 25 years, middlemen. I don't know who they are, but they're rich. That I can tell you. We're going to cut out the middlemen and facilitate the direct sale of drugs at the most favored nation price directly to the American citizen. So we're cutting out, Bobby, the middlemen. It's so important, right? They got to do that. They're worse than the drug companies. They don't even make a product, and they make a fortune. It's very smart business people, that I can tell you. If companies make no significant progress toward most favored nation pricing, which we will insist that they do, so I think I'm wasting time talking about it. We're going to insist upon it. And we'll insist, and we're going to help the drug companies with the other nations, because those other nations do a lot of trading with us. They need our trade just like China needed us very badly. They need us just as badly. We will do whatever we have to with trade, just like we did some great things with trade with India and Pakistan. It really helped the situation, very heated situation. Could have lost millions of people, more than millions, I mean, many millions of people. And they want to do business with America, but we never used our powers that way. We never knew how. We never had people that knew how to do that. We'll also open up America's market to safe and legal imports of affordable drugs from other countries, putting dramatic downward pressure on prices. And if necessary, we'll investigate the drug companies, and we'll, in particular, investigate the countries that are doing this, and we will add it onto the price that we charge them for doing business in America. In other words, we'll add it onto tariffs if they don't do what is right, which is everybody should equalize. Everybody should pay the same price. And special interests may not like this very much, but the American people will. I am doing this for the American people. I'm doing this against the most powerful lobby in the world, probably the drug lobby, drug and pharmaceutical lobby. But it's one of the most important orders, I think, that's ever been signed, certainly with regard to health care or health in the history of our country, and it's an honor to be a part of it. And I'd like to ask Robert F. Kennedy to say a few words, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an extraordinary day. This is an issue that, I grew up in the Democratic Party, and every major Democratic leader for 20 years has been making this promise to the American people. This was the fulcrum of Bernie Sanders' runs for presidency, that he was going to eliminate this discrepancy between Europe and the United States. But as it turns out, none of them were doing it. It's one of these promises that politicians make to their constituents, knowing that they'll never have to do it. And the reason they'll never have to do it is because they know that Congress is controlled in so many ways by the pharmaceutical industry. There's at least one pharmaceutical lobbyist for every congressman, every senator on Capitol Hill, and every member of the Supreme Court. By some estimates, 3. Pharmaceutical companies, the industry itself, spends 3 times what the next largest lobbyist spends on lobbying. So this was an issue that people talked about, but nobody wanted to do anything because it was radioactive. They knew you couldn't get it by Congress. We now have a president who is a man of his word, who has the courage. President Trump was taking money from the pharmaceutical industry, too. I think they gave you $100 million. But he can't be bought. unlike most of the politicians in this country. And he is standing here for the American people. I don't know what, there's writers like Lord Elizabeth Warren or Robert Reich who are saying that President Trump is on this side of the oligarchs. There has never been a president more willing to stand up to the oligarchs than President Donald Trump. And I'm very, very proud of you, Mr. President, for your courage, I'll say, because I don't want to be crude, your intestinal fortitude, your stiff spine, and your willingness to stand up for the American people. We have 4.2% of the world's population. Our country represents 75% of the revenues for pharmaceutical companies. We spend in our country $1,126 per capita on drugs. In Britain, they spend about $240. They spend 1/5 of what we do. And this is true across Europe. And the drug companies, Europeans, if you ask them, it made no sense what they were saying. America has to pay for this innovation or it's not going to happen. What President Trump is saying to our European partners is you've got to raise the amount that you're paying for those drugs and pay for your share of the innovation. That the United States is no longer subsidizing that. If the Europeans raise the price of their drugs by just 20%, that is $10 trillion. That can be spent on innovation, and the health of all people all across the globe is going to increase because we're going to have better products. So I'm just so grateful to be here today. I never thought that this would happen in my lifetime. I have a couple of kids who are Democrats, are big Bernie Sanders fans, and when I told them that this was going to happen, they had tears in their eyes because they thought this is never going to happen in our lifetime, and we finally have a president who's willing to stand up for the American people. Thank you, and Dr. Oz.
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy. This is the most powerful executive order on pharmacy pricing and health care ever in the history of our nation. And it's only happening because we have a president with the fortitude, the guts to stand up to the withering criticism and lobbying that's going to occur as soon as folks hear about the executive order. So on behalf of the child in Philadelphia who's got an autoimmune disease with a $1,000 a month drug, or the older woman in Los Angeles who's on a blood thinner who can't afford her copay, I want to thank President Trump. God bless you for having the guts to take on this industry. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So let's talk about the details a little bit. And this is primarily about equalization, as President Trump said. It's about fairness. Think of NATO as a metaphor. When President Trump said, you've got to pay a little more so it makes sense for all of us, they came up. And the European countries contributed. The same thing we believe will happen in this situation. Most people who have thought about this process agree that it is patently unfair to tolerate the numbers that Secretary Kennedy and President Trump have reflected to you. On this chart to my left is a list of the 10 drugs that were negotiated in the IRA. Again, this is the bill, the law, that regulates a negotiation process. This is the best price that was able to be obtained by the Biden administration. And if you look at these numbers, they actually reflect how much on top of the most favored nation price was being paid by the United States. So the closest to me, Bob, you can point to the chart against the closest one, 289%, the one that's closest to you. That means that we are paying in America 4 times more than that drug costs in other countries. Again, 100% is the baseline. It's 289% above that baseline. It goes all the way down to when we're paying 50% more than any other country. That's the range. As was pointed out by President Trump, half the time we're paying 3 times more than is paid in other countries. It doesn't make any sense for the system. That stated, President Trump has over and over again indicated, and Secretary Kennedy reflected as well, we want innovation. We want our technology partners doing the best they can to make the best solutions for drugs to cure as many people in America and around the world as possible. By getting our allies to pay a bit more as they should be, and they should have for many years been doing, will course correct a problem that's gotten out of hand. And by doing that in a thoughtful, effective way, we're going to be able to get the pharmaceutical industry whole. Those jobs will still be here, will still be productive, will still be curing cancer and a slew of other ailments that plague humanity. America will still be the leader in this space, but we'll be paying the appropriate amount, the right-sized amount for those tasks. So over the next 30 days, the four of us up here, together with people standing in the back of this room who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting, are going to be approaching pharmaceutical companies to talk specifically about what we want the most favored nation price to be based on the best data we have. We're looking forward to a thoughtful interaction with these corporate leaders, many of whom we've spoken to and in quiet will agree the system is not right the way it is. They're patriotic Americans. They want what's right. But the fact that in my lifetime, as Secretary Kennedy said, for the first time, we have a thoughtful and aggressive approach, thanks to President Trump, on taking on the special interests, should give all Americans confidence that this is an administration that stands for fairness and should chill the waters for those who believe they can push us away from our North Star, which is to take care of the American people. Mr. President, God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jay, you want to go next?
Sure. Yep. So I teach economics at Stanford as well as health policy. And one thing that's really, really simple in economics is that when you have a persistent price difference for the same product between two countries, there is something deeply wrong. And what President Trump has done is a historic measure that should have been done a long time ago. What we're going to do is make sure that those prices become much closer to equal, like a competitive market you'd expect. Right now what's happening is the American people are subsidizing in large fraction the research and development efforts for drug companies around the world by the higher prices that we pay. With this new order, Europe will share the burden of that. And in fact, if you may think of it as like as somehow it's like it's going after drug companies, actually it's helping drug companies. Because what we're also going to do with this order, what President Trump has done with this order, is he's said to European governments, look, if you are taking advantage of the drug companies by forcing them to charge very, very low prices, we're going to defend American drug companies in Europe. At the same time, we're standing up for the American consumer who's been paying far too high prices for far too long. I can go back decades to point to congressional reports after government report after government report of tremendously high drug prices, much higher than the rest of the world, and nothing has been done about it until this moment. And I'm really, really proud, President Trump, that you've done this. I'm really proud to be included in this and looking forward to the work ahead.
Thank you, Jay. Great.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the many doctors I've talked to about this very issue, thank you for taking the bull by the horns. Presidents on both sides of the aisle have talked about this and floated it and said they've wanted to do it, so you've had the courage to do it. Thank you. I've been a surgical oncologist at Johns Hopkins for 22 years, and I have seen patients suffer. We didn't take an oath to heal patients and then watch their life get ruined financially, with their home, mortgage, retirement, going down the drain with GoFundMe campaigns, raising money from church communities and synagogues and friends they haven't seen in 20 years to try to raise money for what? For a system where Americans have been getting ripped off by 10, 12, 15 times higher prices than we see in other countries. The fundamental problem in healthcare is that we've had non-competitive markets. We can do little things around the edges, or we can transform those markets to competitive markets, and that's what this executive order does today. Imagine buying a Ford for $175,000, a regular car, and then hearing that people in London are buying it for $10,000 every day, all day long. That is the craziness of this system. We're going to do everything we can at the FDA to support this executive order. It's transformative. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, everybody. I think it's a very important day. In many ways, you have... We'll start with the Houthis. We go to Pakistan and India. We go to what we did with China, the trade deal, and with UK. And by the way, many other deals are coming in very much. At a certain point, we'll just set the price because we know where we are. But we'll just set the price. But world trade is going to be terrific, and our country is going to be making a lot of money. Taxes are going to go down. Taxes are going to go down very, very substantially. But you look at all of the things that we've done, and now today I'm heading over. We'll see what we're going to do with respect to Iran. I think you have very good things happening there, too, by the way. I think can't have a nuclear weapon, but I think that they are talking intelligently. We're in the midst of talking to them, and they're right now acting very intelligent. We want Iran to be wealthy and wonderful and happy and great, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. So I think they understand that I mean business, and I think they're being very reasonable thus far. And don't underestimate Thursday in Turkey. President Erdogan is going to be a great host, and we are doing some work with him having to do with Syria, too, by the way. We're going to have to make a decision on the sanctions, which we may very well relieve. We may take them off of Syria because we want to give them a fresh start. But President Erdogan's asked me about that. Many people have asked me about that because the way we have them sanctioned, it doesn't really give them much of a start. So we want to see if we can help them out. So we'll make that determination. But I think you're going to have maybe a good meeting. You have the potential for a good meeting, that a meeting wasn't going to take place. I insisted that that meeting take place. And it is taking place. And I think you may have a good result out of the Thursday meeting in Turkey between Russia and Ukraine. And I believe the two leaders were going to be there. I was thinking about flying over. I don't know where I'm going to be on Thursday. I've got so many meetings. But I was thinking about actually flying over there. There's a possibility of it, I guess, if I think things can happen. But we got to get it done. We got to save 5,000 lives a week. 5,000 lives is really more than that. It's worse than that. And when you see and you don't want to see it, but when you see the satellite photographs of the battlefield with arms and legs and heads all over the place, separated by 30 yards from bodies, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So we're working very hard to see if we can end that bloodbath. Okay, there shouldn't be too many questions. It's been covered pretty well.
Mr. President, thank you for taking questions. Two quick ones for you, starting on trade. If a longer-term deal is not reached with China at the end of these 90 days, can the American people expect those tariffs to go back up to 145%?
No, but they would go up substantially higher. You know, at 145, you're really decoupling because nobody's going to buy. But they can go, they got very high because of additional tariffs I applied during the course because of fentanyl and other things. But no, but they'd go substantially higher.
And then on Qatar, Mr. President,
I think you will have a deal, however.
Okay, you're confident that there will be a deal. On Qatar, has Qatar asked for anything in exchange for that $400 million luxury jumbo jet? And how can the American people be so sure that they will not in the future?
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. We have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. And if you take a look at that compared to the new plane of the equivalent, stature at the time, it's not even the same ballgame. You look at some of the Arab countries and the planes they have parked alongside of the United States of America plane. It's like from a different planet. And it's close to 40 years old, might be more than 40 years old now. And we, when I first came in, I signed an order to get it built. I took it over from the Obama administration. They had originally agreed. I got the price down much lower. And then when the election didn't exactly work out the way that it should have, a lot of work was not done on the plane because a lot of people didn't know. They made change orders that were so stupid, so ridiculous. And it ended up being a total mess, a real mess. And when I came back, I said, by the way, what's going on with the Boeings that are coming in? Well, sir, they're way behind. And they are. They're way behind. They were way behind. Another mess that I inherited from Biden. And it's going to be a while before we get them. And I think Qatar, who we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it. And they said, we would like to do something. And if we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and others, we keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now. And I think this was just a gesture of good faith. And I don't get it. Someday it'll be like Ronald Reagan. They decommission them. You know, they get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in years out. But I thought it was a great gesture. And it's something that was done by Ronald Reagan. They actually decommissioned the plane and he put it in his library. And it actually has made the library, I think, a Boeing 707. It's actually made the library more successful. So it was good.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No, it would go directly to the library after I leave office. I wouldn't be using it. No.
Mr. President, on the hostage, you said that the release of the American hostage, Eden Alexander, is a step in good faith to end this war. Do you expect any progress and perhaps announcement on ceasefire during your trip to the Middle East?
We hope that we're going to have other hostages released too, as you know. So when I met with the hostages 3 weeks ago that were there for quite a while, you remember the 10 people that came in, mostly young people, 1 or 2 were a little bit older. They were explaining the trials and tribulations. I mean, they went through hell. And I said, how many are there? They said 59. I said, that's a lot. I didn't realize, because we got a lot out. You know, we got a lot of hostages out, I think you will acknowledge. They said 59, but then they said, they followed that up by saying 59, of which 24 are living, the rest are dead. But the people whose son, mostly son, I think 1 daughter in this case, but mostly sons are there, or husbands are there, those people want the dead bodies as much as they want the live body. I have a mother that calls me, but came up to me when I first met her, and she said, sir, please get my son out. He's dead, but they have his body. And I asked her about that, and it's as though he were alive. The level of wanting that body back is the same. It couldn't be any more, as though he were alive. So, you know, getting the bodies back is very important. That could be a thing having to do with the religion. It could be same. I was amazed at the level of importance. It's the same as if the son or husband or whatever was alive. So they said 59. In fact, they came in with a number 59 written out on like a sign on their chest. But they came to thank me for getting them out. And I said, what does the 59 mean? They said, well, that means there are 59 people. But then they said, but 24 are living. Now it's 21. The number's 21. So now it's actually, we'll get Etan today. We think we're getting him today. So it's 20. So they have 20 live hostages there. The rest are dead bodies.
Mr. President, are you open to negotiating your tariffs on cars, steel, and aluminum with China or any other country?
Well, we're not even talking about that. We're bringing the car business back into this country. We have commitments, not only commitments, they've already started construction on many plants. They've left Mexico in a few cases. In a few cases, they've left Canada. They're not going to build in Canada. They're going to build here because we have the market, and the tariffs have been amazing. The election and the tariffs. November 5th was a big day, and on top of that, of course, you wouldn't have the tariffs without the election, I guess, if you look at it. But we have at least 11 committed massive car factories that are going to be built, that are in the process of being built. And some are going through, some have actually started. We also have renovations of existing factories where they weren't utilizing the full factory from years gone by. and now they're under full renovation. They'll be opening up full factories in a very short period of time. Our car industries, I think we're going to have the #1 industry. You know, if you look at Japan and these others, they do tremendously with cars, and they can do that too. But you know, if they want to sell cars in the United States, they're going to have to build factories in the United States, because I'm interested in cars for the United States. And one other thing is, in our tax bill, we're giving not only no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, but also we're going to get a deduction for people that borrow money to buy a car if it's made in America. If it's not, we have no interest.
A meeting with between President Putin as well as President Zelensky. If President Putin doesn't show up to these talks in person in Turkey, will you join Europe in putting higher sanctions on Russia?
If I felt it would be important toward getting the deal done, I'm the one that insisted on the meeting. They couldn't get a meeting because one said ceasefire, one said no ceasefire. It was going back and forth. I said, look, at this point, we got to stop it. Just go to the meeting. The meeting has been set. Go to the meeting on Thursday. And if I thought it would be helpful, I don't know where I'm going to be at that particular point. I'll be someplace in the Middle East, but I would fly there if I thought it would be helpful. Yeah, please.
Back to refugees. I want to ask you about South African refugees. Dozens of Afrikaners who claim discrimination in their home country are heading to the United States,
right,
where your administration is going to welcome them as refugees. Now, this comes as you've halted virtually all refugee admissions for people fleeing famine and war from countries like Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Why are you creating an expedited path into the country for Afrikaners but not others?
Because they're being killed, and we don't want to see people be killed. Now, South Africa leadership is coming to see me, I understand, sometime next week. And, you know, we're supposed to have I guess a G20 meeting there or something, but we're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of, but it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place, and farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me, but white farmers are being brutally killed, and their land is being confiscated in South Africa, and the newspapers and the media, television media doesn't even talk about it. If it were the other way around, they'd talk about it. That would be the only story they'd talk about. And I don't care who they are. I don't care about their race, their color. I don't care about their height, their weight. I don't care about anything. I just know that what's happening is terrible. I have people that live in South Africa. They say it's a terrible situation taking place. So we've essentially extended citizenship to those people to escape from that violence and come here. Yeah.
Please. Mr. President, thank you. Are you letting China off the hook for these 90 days, and do you really believe that they will follow through with non-tariff barriers and remove those?
Non-monetary tariffs, yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to follow through. I think they want it very badly. I think they want the deal very badly. Again, this doesn't include the steel tariffs that I put on a long time ago that Biden tried to get off, but he couldn't get them off because it was too much money. You know, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China, what a lot of people don't know, but we put on the tariffs originally. And if I didn't do that, we wouldn't have a steel industry today. Now we have a thriving steel industry. It'll be thriving much more with what we're doing because this is the next level. But it doesn't include that, doesn't include cars, doesn't include pharmaceuticals when we do that. And the reason we're doing that will be to get them to come back in the country. You know, there are, again, I always say it because a lot of people forget, but if a company like Eli Lilly, which is making a massive investment in the United States right now. They're building many, many plants. They've already started like 7 of them, many plants, but they are not going to be tariffed. There's no tariff cost. So they're all doing that. They're all coming back to the United States. I mean, I'll tell you what, I hope I get the benefit of watching this because, as president, because, you know, it takes a little while to do this stuff. And we're doing it early in the administration. If you think of it, we have, I believe, if you look at the real total, it's over $10 trillion committed for plants and factories. Other administrations haven't had $1 trillion over a 4-year period, even over an 8-year period. We have over $10 trillion committed in one form or the other over 2 months. Give me a break. I'm here 3, but let's give me a break on the first month. We want to get acclimated. But if you think about it, it's really 2 months. And so in 2 months, we have an investment already of over $10 trillion. And other presidents haven't had that done over a year, over 4 years in some cases. It's unprecedented. There's never been anything like it. It's a very exciting time in America. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Who's in charge of the budget bill while you're gone, sir?
Mr. President, are you ready to impose sanctions on Russia if Putin doesn't agree with the 30-day ceasefire?
I have a feeling they're going to agree. I do. I have a feeling.
And we think other countries, no European countries, will be involved, Mr. President, in the negotiations.
The budget bill negotiations are taking place. Who in your administration is in charge of that while you're gone? Is it
Everybody. Bobby, from the standpoint of medical, this group behind me, I mean, I think it's the best group ever assembled. In terms of medical, I think you're going to see a tremendous cut. I don't think. I mean, I know you're going to see it in Medicaid and Medicare. That cut will be massive because drugs are 50-60% of the cost. So Medicaid costs are going down and Medicare costs are going down because of what we're doing today. And there's no, it's not like, oh, gee, well, maybe it won't happen. It's going to happen because the other countries have no choice. Now, the drug companies are going to have to say, listen, if you don't pay more, we're not going to give you the drug, and they're willing to do that. So that's it. They have to. We have to equalize.
Mr. President, what is price controls?
Say it.
How do you respond to the fact that this?
It's not price control. No. What was price control is before. If you want to talk about price control, is what they were doing. They were making us pay. They set a price, and they said, here's what we're going to pay. And anything else, charge America. Because at that time they had a very stupid president, and it really went crazy during the last 4 years. And remember this, the Democrats are the ones that allowed this to happen. They were the ones that were the protector of this pricing system. And I think it's going to be very hard. You'll have to ask Democrats, are they going to vote against the one great, big, beautiful deal that's being negotiated now, tax cuts, etc. When now on top of the tax cuts and regulation cuts, all the things, now you're going to say that the price of your medicine is going down by 60, 70, 80%. You're going to vote against it? I think a lot of Democrats are going to be forced to do something that their leaders are going to beg them not to do, and that's vote for the bill. I don't see how they can vote against it. How can they vote against it when drug prices, drugs and pharmaceuticals are going to be down 70, 80%? It's going to be very interesting.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
Your ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC. Well, a few of you would. Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much. You know, there was an old golfer named Sam Snead. Did you ever hear of him? He won 82 tournaments. He was a great golfer. And he had a motto, when they give you a putt, you say, thank you very much. You pick up your ball and you walk to the next hole. A lot of people are stupid. They say, no, I insist on putting it. And then they putt it and they miss it. And their partner gets angry at them. You know what? Remember that, Sam Snead. When they give you a putt, you pick it up and you walk to the next hole and you say, thank you very much.
Respectfully, sir, as a businessman, some people may look at this and say, have you ever been given a gift worth millions of dollars and then not received anything?
It's not a gift to me. It's a gift to the Department of Defense. And you should know better because you've been embarrassed enough, and so has your network. Your network is a disaster. ABC is a disaster. Here is the bill. Bobby, come on over here. Now you're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, a quick question about Turkey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We finally have a president standing up for the American people. That's not a quote from me. That's a quote from RFK Jr. prior to the president speaking there. We finally have a president standing up for the American people. Monday, May 12th, RFK Jr. What a great update that was for the president as he heads to the Middle East. All of this brought to you by Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguy.com/RSBN is the place to go. You can use that QR code if you'd like. Gold, silver as a backup, especially for those that have that retirement or savings and you really want to secure that dollar. freegoldguy.com/RSBN. Also, let's go to Spring, Texas, angelpace.com, a longtime sponsor here at Right Side. Spring, Texas, they hire military veterans. They have great products. Go to angelpace.com. Use the RSBN promo code. You'll get quite the percentage off. Thanks so much for being a great sponsor here at Right Side. As it's the top of the hour in about 5 minutes from now, we're going to continue our live coverage because President Trump will be now going to the South Lawn of the White House. As soon as we see that video feed, we'll take it live. He'll go to Marine One. Then he'll fly over to Joint Base Andrews, board Air Force One, then go to Royal Air Force Base Mendenhall in England. So he'll be going there as his first stop, a layover on his way to the Middle East. So that town is about 30 miles or so north east of London, and that's where the president will be flying in that jet there. And then he'll be going to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia tomorrow to start out that 3-nation tour in the Middle East. We'll have all that coverage for you right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Once again, I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks for streaming in live. Looking forward to seeing the president on Marine One and Air Force One. And Director, if we have that photo of the great plane that actually is a die-cast metal plane that sits on one of the desks in the Oval Office, when you have foreign leaders that are speaking with the president and, you know, they have the fireplace behind them, that's the vantage point. That is the paint job that we're going to see, whether it's this new Qatar plane that the president's receiving or a Boeing plane that will be finished. So that is what it will be looking like. It's not the greatest vantage point that I have for you, but that's definitely from the White House from some time ago, just a few days after President Trump won his second White House win, even though there were 3, if you know what I mean. So what we're looking at now, of course, is the Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews. We'll be going there live in just a bit as we see the president arriving on Marine One. So also, just to repeat that comment or that statement from RFK Jr., he really tells it like it is, just like President Trump, saying, quote, "We finally have a president standing up for the American people." We really could close that broadcast today and close it down for the week, because at the end of the day, that is what this is about. We have someone as we the people, just like you, just like me, just like all of us that did vote on the right side of history, the majority of this country for President Trump. President Trump is just like us. Donald J. Trump. He's a man from New York. He was very successful in real estate, very successful in showbiz, and then realized after a while, hey, I can use these skills, these God-given natural skills, this natural-born leadership, these negotiation skills, all the skills. He can use them to help the American people. And we saw what happened during that first administration. What a great, great administration that was. But this one, 2.0, my oh my. It's great to cover, and there's a lot more coverage here at Right Side Broadcasting Network to come as we continue to cover everything inside the Beltway, outside the Beltway, and other America First stories, any breaking news stories. Well, we've got you covered here from that common sense perspective. We're not going to try and push a false narrative. We're going to say, hey, you know what? We, the people, all of the people that we spoke with, outside of all of those venues and stadiums and arenas and remarks and speeches where President Trump delivered those for the past almost now 10 years at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We don't forget any of that. That's what this is all about. When we interview people like you out at these rallies and you say, hey, what's concerning to me is the southern border, is the economy, is my constitutional rights, is all of these things, we are still that network. We don't miss that message. We'll always be on the right side of history because that's who we are as people that work here, personally and professionally. Anyway, looking forward to seeing the president on Air Force One. Now, specifically, it's going to be great. He's saying, hey, I'm going to have this this new plane from some people call it Qatar or Qatar, whatever you want to call the country. They're going to be giving the president a new 747. And I think we also have, if we can show the one Truth Social post from President Trump talking about this as he was calling out the fake news at the end of that executive order signing, which we're going to dive into in just a second. So many items and accomplishments just discussed by the president there. We'll go over all of them, and I believe Summer Lane, the RSBN staff writer who's had a lot of her posts retruthed by the president, along with Dylan Burrows and Lisa Noeth and others that work here, Jessica as well. She'll be joining us, and we're going to tackle all of these accomplishments that we just heard about from President Trump. What a way to start his Middle East trip by really letting it all hang out in the sense of the golden age of America that we're seeing, as Cat Turd said on Truth Social just a minute ago, that it's really ramping up, or that it's really going to a new level. And we're seeing it right now in real time, May 12th, 2025. It is the top of the hour. It's RSBN Live. And I want to share with you that post about that 747. I believe we do have that for you. President Trump saying, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that, the president says. The Dems are world-class losers, MAGA. I hope our next president on the right side of the aisle will be at least this much like President Trump in the sense of how he is just so direct, right? And I know that we have some great communicators that are on the right side of history. Looking forward to seeing more of that to come, especially the big midterms of 2026. And that's a good time to bring on RSBN staff writer, contractor as well, Summer Lane. Summer, can you talk to us about that? I mean, let's just go with the midterms right now. 2026, I think it has to be too big to rig yet again, don't you?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I think Scott Pressler, who's very involved in all of this voting registration stuff, has said that if we want to win in 2026, we have to turn out the vote just as big as we did in 2024. And that will include energizing the Republican base. And I hope that we can do that. I think Scott is actually coming to California in the next couple of weeks. And so I'm kind of hoping maybe I can go see him. And I'm just really excited about what 2026 is holding for us, but I'm also a little bit cautious because I think people tend to fall into this little, well, you know, we won the election, everything's fixed now. It's not. That was step one of winning the war. That was just one battle. It was a big battle, but there's a lot more work to do. And so if we're going to take back, you know, bigger majorities in Congress, we're going to have to work really hard to make sure Republicans understand that 2026 is just as do or die as 2024 was.
Exactly. So we want that full 4 years of President Trump and all that he wants to do for this country, because we already know the proof's in the pudding. What he has spoken, he has promised, and then the promises are kept, and they're all common sense and great for our country. Let's break down a few of them. How about that? I mean, that was a press conference of press conferences there, Summer. I mean, how about you pick? I mean, there's so many things, of course, that he talked about, from the China trade deal to the upcoming Middle East trip, America's Golden Dome, so many things.
Oh, I know. It's hard to keep up with it. And I've been writing about this for years. I was really surprised, actually, when I heard about the trade deal with China, or at least steps in the right direction. The fact that China is going to be lowering their tariffs, what is it, by like 115%, I think is what they're going to be dropping it by. I mean, that's amazing. A lot of people said, oh, no, don't get into a trade war with China. But Trump obviously knows what he's doing. And a little short-term pain, as he says, will produce a really great long-term result. Also, the hostage, Idan Alexander, is coming home. He's being released by Hamas. That's a huge win. He promised on the National Day of Prayer to Idan's parents that he was going to work on bringing him home. That's another promise that was fulfilled today. That's incredible. There's just so many things that he's doing, that he's fulfilling those promises. And I think it really is inspiring for the American people. And hopefully, going back to sort of to that 2026 comment that you made about the midterms, hopefully seeing President Trump fulfilling his promises will be a part of keeping the American people energized to go out to the polls and keep voting, because they're excited to see the progress that we're making.
Exactly. We're seeing a lot of the progress being made as we are now north of 100 days in office for President Trump. Today, prescription drug prices dropping and equalizing. The big, beautiful bill President Trump spoke about. So overall, we're seeing winning happening at a high rate. It's great to see it. Okay, so this Middle East trip, though, I mean, he's going to be in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always for America first, even when he is doing foreign policy. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and you said it best. I mean, he's always putting America first. I get really proud when I see President Trump traveling and representing us on the world stage, because it's kind of like he would say this a lot while he was campaigning. He wanted to make America strong again, respected again, wealthy again. And we are getting back to that point. And when world leaders look at President Trump, they see strength. They see peace through strength. And I'm proud to see him travel. Previously in the other administration, I was like, oh no, please don't travel. You might fall down. But with this president, we don't have to worry about that. And I find it to be very inspiring. So I'll be watching this trip very closely and hopefully writing about it.
Exactly. And speaking of that, some of the stories that you've written recently or anything you're working on now, can you talk to us about some of those stories? And also being a part of, you know, I know you have to report on what's going on in the facts, but isn't it interesting that personally and professionally, Summer, you're agreeing with what's happening out there? I mean, it's common sense for the people, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's why I think I maybe said this last time I was on the program, but I think of myself more of an archivist than a journalist, because I feel that I am capturing this moment in history. That's sort of how I approach what I do as far as for RSBN. I think of myself as an archivist. I'm trying to capture that for the future generations so they can look back, see what this president did, see what this administration did, without the white noise of the legacy media, you know, trying to drown out that success. Mostly a lot of what I do is I try to archive these live events that you guys cover, and I try to just break that down and, you know, highlight those really wonderful moments and those little comments that he makes. I don't want them to be lost to history, so I try to capture those things. And there have been so many fun things that have happened this month. I think maybe my favorite thing was the National Day of Prayer. I just thought it was such a moving, beautiful moment at the White House, and it showed such a stark contrast between where we were 1 year ago and where we were today. And I feel like it's an honor to be able to write about what's happening in America right now. It's just as important as what happened in 1776, in 1865, in 1945. This is 2025. This is our rebirth, and the golden age really is here, and it's very exciting.
Perfectly put. I mean, this is historic, unprecedented times that we as journalists are covering what's going on out there. But not only that, us aside, the fact that we're able to bring in viewers and people to read these articles, millions and millions and millions of people. I mean, President Trump has retruthed not only our network, but your work, Summer, working for us as well. So a lot of people seeing this stuff as the conservative media continues to step up, the legacy media, it's lamestream, just like Rush Limbaugh called it. People are woken to that fact, and conservative media continues to grow. Let's finally talk about, other than President Trump, how about RFK Jr.? How about Brooke Rollins or Pete Hegseth or Marco Rubio? I mean, everybody really going full blast, doing a great job as well.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. He has picked a rock and roll administration this time around. He's not messing around. He's not wasting a single second. Pete Hegseth is probably one of my favorite picks. I like how tough he is, and he says it like it is. It needs to be done. We need to make our military strong. President Trump knows that. So Hegseth was a great pick. Every single person that's in there, if it's Howard Lutnick, if it's Brooke Rollins, they are all on board with the agenda. Right now, right here, they are not here to play games. Secretary Besant, I know, was a huge part of those negotiations in Geneva with China, did a great job, carried forth President Trump's agenda as it needed to be carried out. And I look at these cabinet members and I think, these guys are young. You know, that's the other thing that I think people need to understand when they look at the Trump administration. This is the next generation of patriots. They will be carrying the mantle on after these 4 years are over. J.D. Vance, of course, is part of that. And I think it's very inspiring because it shows that the journey does not end in 4 years. It will keep going. Look at these rock stars. They are poised to do great things.
U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer to add to that when it comes to this great trade deal that we just signed with China. So much going on. Summer Lane, thank you again for joining us here on Right Side. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks for writing, and thanks for doing what you do for this country.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Definitely. Thank you. All right, so it's 11:09, Monday, May 12th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in live. We have more coverage to come as we're going to see President Trump boarding that plane there. But before he boards that one, he has to board Marine One outside the White House. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it's had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now, I suggest you try Immuno 150 to see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now, consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back. I mean, there's so many headlines today. This would have the printing press back in the day printing very fast if we were just to look at some of the things that have happened today, just the accomplishments and all of the announcements. How about the drug prices, the prescription drug prices dropping hugely, big percentages. I mean, we're talking 59% plus according to the president. Then President Trump spoke about the American Golden Dome, the Golden Dome, the protection of the homeland. The president talked about the fact that he's getting that new 747 plane, and the fake news is up in arms about it, but we're not paying for it. Our tax dollars aren't going to that. He's just getting it for free from Qatar. It's just what's happening. It's in good faith, the president said. As Air Force One, he's saying that these are planes that are 40 years old, 4 decades, and the price to repair and maintain is just very, very high. So anyway, we're looking forward to seeing a new paint job, hopefully, on Air Force One. I mean, it'll be hard to see this one go, though, when it comes to the history. Having visited, if you've never been to Dayton, Ohio, at the Air Force National Museum, it is one of the best museums I've ever been to. Really, it is. There's like 5 or 6 hangars with all sorts of planes, military planes, commercial planes, and also there is an Air Force One that is there that 8 presidents have been in, and you can actually walk inside that actual plane. So Dayton, Ohio, the Air Force Museum. But anyway, a lot of history there. But we have an unprecedented White House right now, and it's unprecedented reporting to be able to talk the way we talk here at this network and in conservative media. It's stuff you just don't hear on the lamestream media. You did hear a lot of this good stuff, I think, back in the day, of course, with Rush Limbaugh and other conservative media stars that are out there. But my, oh my, it's great to cover. It's great for you to join us. Thanks so much for doing so on this Monday, May 12th. If you'd like to follow us on Truth Social, it's at RSBN, or on X, it's at RSB Network. All right, let's start again with the outside of all of the announcements made by President Trump. We know he is King MAGA, right? He's the one that started this whole thing. He's the one that coined the phrase fake news. He's the one that has done so many great exploits for this nation, for our country, for the people of this land, and also for the free world. But outside of that, we've got a lot of great people, as if you just saw the interview with Summer Lane, we're talking about other rock stars within the conservative movement, specifically in the cabinet positions. But one right now I have to focus on because he has the headline of the day, in my opinion, and it's about President Trump. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said earlier today at that press conference, quote, "We finally have a president standing up for the American people." It's an easy quote. It's common sense. And again, I'll show it to you one more time. This is a book that I bought recently. It's called We the People. I'm not getting any money off of any of these sales here. I'm just saying it because it has the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, the Common Sense book from Thomas Paine, the Federalist Papers. Mwah. This is the book, you know, in the sense of it's the Constitution and all that, right? So the Holy Bible and that book, good stuff. And that's what this is all about. Looking forward to seeing the president head to Air Force One there to go to the Middle East. Let's break down some of the specifics for the program schedule for President Trump, as he will go to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia tomorrow. He's going to be on his way to the Royal Air Force Base in England tonight. for a layover, and then tomorrow head to Riyadh. So that base is about 30 miles to the northeast of London. That's where the president will first start this Middle East trip, as he goes to Europe first, then down to the Middle East. All right, so that around 10:35. So we're a little bit off schedule here with the specific timing, but of course the president taking time with those questions and answers and some of the fake news stuff that was going on there at the Roosevelt Room when it comes to from ABC and NBC, the president calling those two networks out. But it's not too far off schedule. So 11:14 is the time, of course, you see that. The president will depart the White House first, of course, and go to Marine One. So we'll have that recording or live feed as soon as we get it. Maybe the president will step over and speak to some reporters before he boards Marine One. Then he'll fly over to Joint Base Andrews and then board Air Force One. We'll have that for you. Again, traveling to the Royal Air Force Base. It's specifically in a town called Mildenhall. Mildenhall in England. That's in Sussex. That's just northwest of London. Tomorrow, again, the president will head to Riyadh. Let's go again and rack a couple things for you. For those of you just joining us, I've got some other news to share too, but the Trump on Truth segment of the airplane 747 and the photo. Let's first look at the photo of the new paint job that President Trump wants at the Oval Office. He was showing a die-cast metal plane. That's the plane that's there every time we see President Trump meet with other foreign leaders. That's the plane that's right in front of him. A great darker navy blue and some red there, of course, and just a beautiful look at the plane. I'm sure there'll be a much better images that we can get to show you of that. But that's the paint that President Trump wants in this new plane that they're getting. Again, free of charge. And if we could look at that post from President Trump, he says, so the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift free of charge of a 747 aircraft to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction, this according to the president, so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. It goes on to say there, anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers. And 3 exclamation points and MAGA with all caps. Just reporting what the president's saying, and I agree with him. That's good stuff right there. That's why he's in the office once again. He won 3 elections in a row. We know that. Technically 2, but 1. We know what happened in 2020. Let's go with a couple sponsors as we continue to see and stand by for President Trump. We have a few other things to get to here in a second, but let's go to Tax Network USA. 800-357-1415 is the number. Also, tnusa.com/RSBN will get you hooked up with what you need when it comes to settling back taxes. Tax Network USA, they know what's going on when it comes to getting the plan finalized and secured for you so you have some financial peace of mind, especially if you have those back taxes at all. So Tax Network USA. Also, let's go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. I really wish I don't have to say anything about this company because it stands for itself. I mean, when you see that it says get ivermectin and other essential medications, they mean it. Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and more than 200 essential medications. Easy access. Obviously, you have to fill out some medical online paperwork, but still, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN gets it done much easier than a lot of pharmacies out there and doctors that will say, wait, ivermectin? I'm not writing a prescription for you for that. Or hydroxychloroquine. It's like, come on. Well, there's only how many doctors out there that really will write a prescription like that? We know we've got some right side of history people, conservatives, but not many. So this is a place that's conservative and definitely on the side of the American people and also making America healthy again. So you can get all of these prescriptions, antibiotics, and others at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Get that 10% off by using the RSBN 10 promo code. Lars Larson will be joining us a bit later today, most likely on a recorded interview at about 1 o'clock. He has the Lars Larson show, of course, but he's going to be talking about All Family Pharmacy as well. All right, so getting ready to see the president there, Air Force One. Before we go there live, we know some of the accomplishments that happened today. That was a journalist's dream for those that like common sense and great things for our country to just sit here, and I was watching right there with you when President Trump was talking about all the different accomplishments. I think he really wanted to put an exclamation point on the past 100 plus days before he went on this Middle East trip for the entire week. I mean, he's going to be there all week until Friday, until he returns to 3 countries there: Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. But I think he really wanted to say, you know what, before we leave the White House, let's do this. All right, so we saw a lot of wins for the United States. The trade deal with China, the announcement or more information about the Golden Dome that will be happening for the protection of our homeland, the prescription drug prices dropping dramatically. The White House also is addressing the fentanyl crisis with China, and I'll read directly from what the White House has sent to media. The United States and China will take aggressive actions to stem the flow of fentanyl and other precursors from China to illicit drug producers in North America. So that is still on the mind, of course, of the White House because of how terrible that has been. But what we're going to show you in just a bit as we await President Trump is a video that you may have seen if you're watching the program since 9 this morning, is our U.S. Army. A huge shout out to the United States Army and all of our military that's involved with the Southern Border Mission. There is a video from the Department of Defense that really takes you into what it's like to be there and to be in patrols with the Army. We have that video here. We're going to play that in just a minute, but it's going to be great to not only see that video, but also talk about June 14th, the huge celebration on June 14th for the Army that we're going to have a huge parade, more than 6,000 soldiers. It's President Trump's birthday. That's cool. And on top of that, it's Flag Day. And I've been staying professional with it, but on June 14th, that's when my wife and I got married back in 23. But anyway, so, and we didn't even think of it as it's President Trump's birthday. Let's get married on that day. It just happened to be that it's Flag Day and all that. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, all right. So I think the producer said he's seeing Marine One at a distance. Is that true? Okay. All right. He says, I think it's out there. Well, we'll see together. There's the zoom in. And is he right? I think so. Usually there's a number of Marine Ones that fly. So there's 2 of them I see. So yeah, this looks like we're going to be seeing President Trump here live any minute from now. And we'll go there live so you can listen in on Marine One landing. And when President Trump boards Air Force One, then we'll come back here live in the studio. I'll show you that U.S. Army video. And then it looks like what we'll do for the day is if there's any other breaking news or any other coverage, we'll be right back here on the channel. But always check in with us on Rumble and Truth Social and X and all the things as we continue to cover everything we can when it comes to Washington, D.C., this trip to the Middle East. Also, outside of all of that, when it comes to the president, the cabinet, we really like to focus in on each of the departments, and America First News as well, as we are a conservative news network right here, Right Side Broadcasting Network. And I'm thinking of Conservative News Network and CNN, Conservative News Network, not the other way around, Communist News Network. Anyway, there's Marine One. Let's go there live. I'll see you in just a second when we see President Trump boarding Air Force One.
Mr. President, what's your main goal for this trip, sir?
Great to see President Trump there boarding Air Force One as he gets ready to head to Europe for his first stop, a layover on the way then to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Quick sponsor for you. mypillow.com/RSBN. A lot of great products, of course, more than 2,000 right there. The Giza Dream Sheets, $49.99. You can check it all out, all colors, any size. RSBN, of course, is the promo code, mypillow.com/RSBN. All right, let's go back to Joint Base Andrews. We're going to see President Trump get ready to take off from Air Force One. Very thankful for our sponsors here at Right Side and thankful for you to donate to the network as we continue to bring you this live, unedited footage. So let's go back there in just a minute as we continue to monitor all of the president's moves today, of course, starting out at the White House, then, of course, going to Marine One, then over to Air Force One. So what we're going to do is as soon as we start to see the jetway or the stairs back away, we'll go back there live and we'll watch Air Force One take off together here on the network. Also, if you missed earlier today, within the hour, President Trump's press conference and announcement that he had at the Roosevelt Room. This is really, if you want to be super informed on what the administration is doing and all of the latest news, all you have to do is scrub back on this feed right here on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you're watching. But also, you can always click on the replay a little bit later if you'd like, or maybe save the link and watch it later, because President Trump really letting the American people know and the world know where he stands on various issues. We can also say, of course, the great RFK Jr. saying again, we finally have a president standing up for the American people. That's spoken within the past 2 hours as we see Air Force One there. Getting ready to head to the Royal Air Force Base in England, northeast of London for that first layover stop. Then the president will be on his way to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. You can catch all that coverage of his 3-nation Middle East tour right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. He'll be going to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. He'll be there all week. A lot of coverage to be seen right here on RSBN Live. Thanks so much for streaming in with us as we continue to bring you wall-to-wall events that are live and announcements, any speeches, commentary, of course, but also press conferences right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so it's the bottom of the hour, 11:31 a.m. on this very, very busy morning, Monday, May 12th. That's a lot of news that just happened in the past few hours. And if you'd like to rewatch it, all you got to do is hit the replay button a little bit later, or if you missed it, you can just always scrub back if you'd like, as we see Air Force One right there. What a great weekend it was for many of us out there, of course. Mother's Day was awesome. Then also seeing First Lady Melania Trump in the video that the White House put out recently about all of the honor and respect to moms around the country and worldwide. It was a great video, but we will also be showing you, before we end our broadcast, the southern border video from the Department of Defense, the United States Army, what it's like and what they do in their patrols there. We'll show you that video after Air Force One takes off, and then we'll be thanking some sponsors as we continue our live coverage wall to wall. We've been on the air since 9 this morning, covering everything that's been happening there in Washington, D.C., and this is just a Monday. So this is quite the Monday to go out of the gate from a weekend of news and America First news. And we're really glad you're with us streaming in live here, and especially not listening to the narratives that are on the fake news on the other side of the aisle. Thank God for conservative media, right? So, All right, so again, 11:32, Monday, May 12th. We see that President Trump departing right now. Let's go there live. Let's listen in. They're going to taxi, and that bad boy is going to take off. Let's go there now. The leader of the free world on his way overseas for us and for the free world. All right, so that's President Trump, of course. We have some more video for you. Moments ago, we now have the video of the president when he was leaving the White House on his way to Marine One. We'll get to that in just a second on top of that U.S. Army video we have from the DOD on the southern border. Before we get to all that, let's go to Colonial Metals Group. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Gold, silver, backup for the dollar. Great to do, especially if you have a retirement or a savings account that, you know, hey, I'd rather have it in gold or silver. Colonial Metals Group is the one that will get you hooked up with everything you need, the information, the free information, by getting a free info kit on gold and silver. Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. All right, so it's 11:40 this morning, Monday, May 12th. You're looking at the White House. Let's go moments ago. Why not? Let's just rewind a little bit. This is the first time I'm seeing the video. It's the first time you're seeing it, at least right here on right side, where President Trump departed from the White House. He boarded Marine One. We're told he did not speak to the reporters. Oh, okay. Do we not have the Marine One video, guys? Okay, so we're going to go to that video in just a minute as soon as it's uploaded. But let's go to the video that we were talking about along the border for now, and then we'll go to the White House again in a minute, where the United States Army is doing an absolutely great job along that border, sealing the border. They've sealed it, but this is what it looks like from day to day. Take a look.
Roll call for my truck 1417. Here. Hopper. Here. Mueller. Ramos. Here. Armstrong. Here. 66. Trevino. Here. Brad. Novak. Here. Deloach. Here. Kim. Nine Morrison. Here.
Keep eyes on that white beam. Right there.
That white one?
Yeah, that white one.
Is it?
Nah, it just ain't look like it. There wasn't really nothing to notice.
Concrete, how it looks, so on and so forth. So when we start our dismount process tomorrow, I'm trying to find soft spots. I don't know, I feel like they have too much freedom.
Nah, the sheriff.
They're coming here to get away from me.
Tell them, the Yama and the guy.
Cattle guard fence. Going straight to the street property that takes us to the NBA.
Okay, specifically, that was some raw video from the Department of Defense on May 1st along the New Mexico southern border. All right, let's shift gears a bit, but staying to the same kind of theme of moments ago or something that already happened. And also the military, Marine One, President Trump, moments ago boarded the plane. We do have that video for you. We're going to show that to you here, and then we'll be wrapping up the broadcast in just a minute. Always cool to see Marine One take off. Of course, that was from moments ago prior to President Trump's takeoff on Air Force One, which he's on Air Force One now on his way overseas for that 3-nation tour Middle East trip, which we'll have live coverage for you here at the network. We do want to thank a few sponsors, and I want to end with a specific quote, and you might already know what the quote will be. I've read it a few times, but we're going to end with it here in a second. But Colonial Metals Group, freegoldguide.com/RSBN. We thank Colonial Metals Group for being a great sponsor. Also, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. That's the place for ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, and others. Let's go to Angel Paste in Spring, Texas, angelpaste.com. Use that RSBN promo code. Thank you for being a great sponsor, including Tax Network USA. 800-357-1415 is the number, tnusa.com/RSBN. Also, Brightcore, the Kimchi One product, awesome stuff. Gut health, immune support, anti-aging properties, a great product right there on your screen. Also, speaking of great products, more than 2,000 of these products, mypillow.com/RSBN. Thanks be to God for Mike Lindell. What a great person, what a story he has, and a great company right there. mypillow.com/RSBN. All right, now's the time for that final quote of the day, at least for now, unless we have more breaking news or anything coming up later. We finally have a president standing up for the American people. From RFK Jr. earlier today, what a statement. It's very common sense, very simple, but isn't it true? Isn't it nice to have a president standing up for we the people? For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed, so join us and be part of the right side of history.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it's had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now, I suggest you try Immuno 150 to see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now, consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
President Trump is keeping his promises and saving America. And your kids can learn all about it for free with a new Kids Guide to President Trump. This fun guide shows kids all the steps President Trump is taking to put America back on top of the world stage, including building a strong economy, protecting our borders, and negotiating trade deals. It's an exciting way for kids to learn about President Trump's outstanding leadership. Act now and get a free bonus guide, The Courage of the President. Order now at freetrumpbook.com. That's freetrumpbook.com.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.